Hey guys, I'm Noah, I'm from New Zealand, and welcome to my new YouTube channel. I've been tossing up whether to make a YouTube channel for the past little while, just with the four-wheel drive scene in New Zealand growing, and there not being many videos on much of the tracks around our beautiful country. So on this channel, I plan to show you some of those tracks around our country. I plan to show camping, four-wheel drive maintenance, four-wheel driving of course, gotta love a bit of hard wheeling, and I figured we may as well start this off with a rig review of my personal rig. So, behind me is my 2014 Nissan Patrol. This was an Australian import originally. It came over from being used to go to and from the mines, then brought over to New Zealand and just sat upon the shores for about a year until I got it. From there, I went through New Zealand's registration process, which was quite a challenge to say the least. It had to be towed pretty much everywhere, as New Zealand give you 100 kilometers total to get whatever list they give you done. And as my certification inspection agency was about 100 kilometers from my house, I had to trailer it because there was just no way I was going to get any of the work done on it in that 100 kilometer region. After that, got it legal, got it into New Zealand. It did not look like this at all. It looked somewhat similar, but it had mismatching tires, the bull bar was rusting, didn't have any of the mods that are on it at the moment. No roof setup at all, it was bare bones. And from there I've cleaned it up and done the majority of the mods myself to the point where it is. So, we may as well get into a few of those, and we'll start with tires. So, for wheel and tyre setups on this, I've just got a basic set of 15-inch steelies wrapped with some 35-inch mud terrains. Now, I've had a few different sets of mud tyres on this. I've had your normal Chinese tyre, which was, as we'd all expect, pretty crap. And I had a set of 4 matching federal mud terrains, I think they were, just to get through certification. They were a good enough tyre, I mean, they did the job. Weren't anything special, but this is my preferred set of mud terrain. These are the Kenda Cleaver MT2s. They've been the perfect balance of a soft enough tyre, good off-road, good on-road performance, and they're super aggressive looking. They look awesome, especially with all the sidewalls and stuff. The main reason for these tyres is they were sort of unheard of when I got them. They were new to the country. Overseas I'd seen good reviews, but no one in New Zealand really knew much about them, so I figured, hey, now's probably the time to give it a go, and no regrets since. The only thing with these tyres is they are a little bit loud on the road, which is to be expected with quite an aggressive mud terrain. Otherwise, it's been pretty good. But yeah, let's move on to the next mod. Now, one of the more asked questions on this thing is about the suspension that I've currently got in it. It's a pretty basic setup at the moment. It's supposedly a 3-inch lift, however it measures closer to a 4-inch, but still not really sure. It could just be heavy duty springs or whatever, with some tough dog shocks. And then it's just got your normal caster correction bushes, drop boxes, and all that malarkey. It's a pretty basic setup, but it does do the job. I do plan on changing this setup down the line. As you can see, I've started upgrading the steering components, so these are now heavy duty adjustable steering components. What I'd like to do down the line after that is replace the arms with some actual proper caster corrected arms, rather than ones that have the caster corrected bushings, as the bushings are known to cause lots of knocks. They can crack, they can also cause cracking on the actual diff housing itself. I would also like to change the rear arms to some slightly longer ones to get that pinion angle down a little bit and the diff more centered, as well as some adjustable pan hard rods to get those diffs re-centered. Another big thing is, because this wagon does a lot of towing, I would like to get an adjustable suspension setup. These being some remote reservoir shocks or something along the lines of that, so I can just stiffen it a little bit for handling those heavier loads and also body rollers. This thing weighs over 3 ton, it's quite an issue now. But yeah, it's pretty basic under here. Don't think there's much more to say. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, is it a TD, is it a ZD, is it something else? It's still a ZD. Now, this is quite a hotly debated topic amongst 4 drivers about the ZD30 or Grenade that has been put into these patrols instead of the old TD42. Nissan mainly did this back in the day to get around their emission laws in Europe and Australia and all of these places, and the old TD42 did not end up complying with those, so hence they put in a 3-litre ZD30 common rail diesel. This boat has been pretty good to me. They are known as the Grenade for a reason. There's a lot of little things here, there and everywhere where they can just blow up on you for no reason. They can crack heads, they can drop pistons, you name it. I mean, it's been done. Considering one of my mates once has just dropped a valve as well. so it's definitely very common. However, for me, this thing has been pretty good. Now, this motor is putting out 160 horsepower, and I think it was 454 newton meters of torque at the wheels on 35s back in Australia. It's about 50% more than what they came out with from stock. It works out to be about just under 200 horsepower and just under 600 newton meters at the flywheel, or crank, whatever you want to call, which is enough power for me. It's nothing crazy, it doesn't boogie, but it's been good enough to do whatever we want semi-reliably. Now, in terms of mods on this thing, it's got an HPD aftermarket intercooler, as well as 3-inch intake piping, 2.5-inch, I think it's stainless steel intercooler piping or charge piping, and a Cobra 3-inch straight through head. This thing does also have a 3-inch turbo back exhaust, which helps quite a lot with heat and lag. Definitely highly recommend doing it for anyone who wants to do it. I had to swap it back to a factory exhaust for my emissions stuff before getting it in the country. Huge difference of what a 3-inch exhaust makes. I never actually realized how much it choked it up. Otherwise, it's pretty stock. It's got stock turbo, stock manifolds, stock everything else. It's just a few basic mods to keep it a little bit more reliable, keep it a little bit cooler, and yeah. Some of you guys might have also noticed, where the factory locker solenoid would be, I have put some diff breathers. That is because in this thing we had a diff explode. So if you know anything about factory GU diffs, they are vacuum operated. So they have a vacuum solenoid which pulls in a fork and selects whether you want the locker to engage or disengage. On this, one of my vacuum lines was actually split, which meant that fork was free floating, and at some point it slam engaged and shared the dog rings, which I'll put a photo up for you guys to witness. Somehow it didn't fully mince my diff, and we drove around with those chunks in the diff for about 3 months. We knew there was a little rattle, I didn't know what from, and I initially thought it was from my roof setup, something being loose, but I never actually narrowed it down or thought that it was the actual rear diff locker until we went on a flex ramp and the locker just instantly engaged, which is very unlike a factory Nissan locker. So that has led me on to getting some new diffs. So, because of that, I saw that as an opportunity to upgrade the diffs whilst I was doing it. I was looking at rebuilding initially, however it ended up being more cost effective to find some second-hand or even new diff heads that were pre-made to go in this thing. So what we ended up doing was swapping out the factory 4.3 ratio diffs for some 4.6 ratio diffs, which corrected the 35s back to factory ratio. And they also had the added bonus of having air locker centers in them, which was a 2 birds with 1 stone kind of situation for what I was looking at. They were also around about the same price as rebuilding the factory rear diff with a locker of new parts from Australia, so I was kind of, you know, sort of a no-brainer for me at the time. Now with that, I've just got a single ARB air compressor, which I've put in the rear drawers. The reason for them back there is a lot of the air compressors I've seen that have been under the bonnet have often clogged up with mud and grit and fired all that mud and grit down the airlines into the lockers and can just destroy seals and all that sort of stuff. So every time someone looks at getting an air compressor, I also recommend to put them in the cab or somewhere sealed and protected from the elements, as they can crap out quite easily and also crap other stuff out. However, once we're on the topic of the back of this wagon, I may as well show you guys my camping setup that I've got. So, back here I've got a relatively simple setup. I've just got a 100 amp hour AGM battery paired with a Brass Monkey 50 litre fridge. For cooking, I have just a gas burner cooker and this nifty Adventure King shelf that just clips on your drawers. Slide it in, and there you go, you've got a table now. I do plan on putting a drop down table on the side as well as some inbuilt storage, probably on this side as well. However, don't have access to the materials at the moment, so I haven't really pursued that yet. For camp lighting, we originally used to pull the awning around, and I had these clip-on lights that were good enough for lighting, however they didn't really do the job, so I wanted something a little bit more permanent in the back of this thing. So I went on good old Temu and found that they had some flush mount 12 volt lights, as well as some LED strip lighting, which I'll show you guys in a second. And my thoughts with the 12 volt down lights were to flushly mount them in the doors, as you can see these little dots in here, as well as fall back here for little lighting. So each of these are 1 watt, they don't draw that much and they output 90 lumens. Ta-da! So these have been a game changer. It's like super bright, it's a nice warm light, You can't change it to like an amber or red like some of the other camp lights on the market for bugs and stuff. However, it's not really something that I'm fussed about, so I just wanted a warm white light just to give it a little bit of a warm feeling, as well as a lot of little lights around the place just to light up the campsite. It doesn't look super bright in the daylight, like any light really. However, at night time it's awesome. Couldn't recommend them enough. Now, as I mentioned previously, these are the outdoor light strips that I was talking about. These are also off Temu. They're about, I think, $30 total, and it came with 5 meters of strip that could be cut in half, so I've done one on either side. I saw this idea originally in a photo of a car in Dubai. I thought that was quite a cool idea, and it solves my need of outdoor camp lights that weren't too bulky and didn't get in the way of awnings and tents and all that sort of stuff. I was originally looking at putting some bigger pod lights and sort of hanging underneath. However, a lot of them are huge, like just crazy bright, and it's hard to dim them, as well as they are quite costly and need thicker wire and all this sort of stuff. So this suited my needs perfectly. It is super bright for what they are, but it's not overly bright, where if you're sitting around a campfire or whatever, it's like blinding. Definitely highly recommend this mod. The way I've run the wiring was through these factory air vents. A lot of people try to figure out where they wanted to run their wires on the Patrols. Some people drill holes in the roof, some people run them up the seals. I decided to run them through the vents, as it was a nice clean way to run the wire. That didn't require me to drill any holes in the car, which I hate drilling holes in cars. It's not my thing. But yeah, works clean and all that sort of stuff. So, we better move on to a bit of bar work. On the front of this thing, I have an Ironman commercial bar. This bar came on the vehicle, so I didn't really have much specking in it. However, this is sort of the bull bar that I'd choose to run anyway, so I've kept it on the car and I've just refinished it in a wrapped coat lining, as the old finish just had started pissing and rusting. Other than that, the other thing I've changed is an Ironman bottle opener instead of the badge, just for those little touches, and my old badge had actually peeled off. I'd seen this done on one other car at some meet couple years ago. I thought it was quite a schmick thing to do, so I also really wanted to do that, as I mean, it speaks for itself. It looks pretty good. For a winch, this thing also has an Ironman 9,000 pound winch, I think it was. It did come with the car. I haven't really changed it or anything. It's been a very reliable winch for what I've used. It's faster than my old 12,000 pound winch that I had on my previous load of surf, so, which is quite a bonus in the bush when you're trying to pull it out and pull yourself up. For all the bigger loads, it has been okay. We've usually double line pulled it, as it's a lot safer for pulling heavy loads, or like pulling yourself up a hill, for example. Otherwise, it's been a pretty good winch. This hook was also given to me from a close friend of mine, thank you Simon, as my old hook that was on it was just a Bunnings special, not rated to the weight at all. And yeah, I mean, it was about time it had an upgrade. Now, down the side of this thing, we have a set of bush-proven Rocksiders. Bush-proven is a relatively new brand in New Zealand. It is one of my old workmates who has split off and started fabricating his own stuff for four-wheel drives and utes. He mainly does bar work and dog boxes, but if you hit him up, he'll pretty much do anything to do with fabrication. I've also wrapped coated these to match the bull bar, as well as the rear bar, which I will get to in a second. Just as this car was a base model car, so it has the standard black flares, I figured the wrapped coat being a matte, tough finish would also go with the black plastic flares and the snorkel and everything else in the car. So I've gone for a sort of stormtrooper theme, as you can sort of see. But yeah, we'll move on to the rear bar. Now, Bushproven have also made this rear bar for me. It is based off an Elite weld bar, which you can often see in Australia. However, when I looked at importing one, it's going to be quite costly, so we decided to build one so that we could also custom spec it to some of the things that I wanted, such as the infield steady lights and some of these sequential brake lights. We also, when we did this, we made sure we had enough room for a 37-inch tyre down the line, as well as 2 water carriers. Looking back, I didn't need 2. New Zealand does have service stations. I think the max distance between 2 service stations is like 150 kilometres. So we have plenty of opportunities to fill up water and fuel and all that sort of stuff, but I thought it looked cool, so we decided to go with the double. Bushproven also have made this rear wing for me. Again, same thing, when I was looking in Australia, it was hard to get one imported over here for a decent price, so we decided to make one of these out on alloy sheet as well. If you have a GU, I highly recommend putting a rear wing on it. These things aren't the best lookers from the back of the car, but just having something up there just ties it all in, makes it a little bit more aggressive, and I mean, it looks awesome. You just look at it. But yeah, I highly recommend you guys check out Bush Proven. They are up for any challenge, whether it be rear bars, scrub bars, side steps, whatever. And they'll probably be able to do all of it for you. Now for the setup on the roof, I have a step above rooftop tent. I got this tent off Facebook when they were first coming into New Zealand. It's been an awesome tent. It has built-in 12-volt lighting, 12-volt cigarette lighters, and we've made use of that and actually put a heated blanket in there as well. I have hardwired this tent, as you can see under there, run the wire through underneath and down the vents like I showed before. I've had no complaints this tent. We've been through storms with an awesome tent. For those who are looking at getting a rooftop tent, I highly recommend it. It is expensive initially, however, worth it just for the luxury when you're camping and having that reassurance that it won't leak on you and will just be reliable, always there when you need it and out the way. Now in terms of lighting, I have the Bushdorf turbine headlights. These are an awesome headlight. They are addressable RGB, so you've got all the different colors and combinations. I think there were 200 combinations that they had on the app. They are a super bright alternative to the stock candles that come in these effectively. They're kind enough to send these out to me to show off at all different events around New Zealand, such as full drive expos, hunting and fishing expos, which we have coming up very soon. Now, in terms of external lighting, I have a 40-inch light bar on the roof. This is just a run-of-the-mill super cheap auto light bar. I do plan on revising this setup down the line. I do want to go for something that has a daytime running light in it, whether it be amber or just a white light. Something a little bit more modern to pizzazz up the front of this thing, is that they look cool, basically. There's no other reason, they just look cool. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that was informative for any of you guys who have a GU and wanted to do some of these upgrades yourself. I do plan on having a few videos coming in the future, such as going up a track called the State Forest 70. It is halfway between Taupo and Napier in New Zealand. It's an awesome little track. We actually went up there a few weeks ago, but didn't make it very far as we had a broken CV and 2 vehicles stuck on the track. So we're going again in a few weeks' time, which I will cover and upload to this channel in the near future. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.